Welcome back, tribe. We got one for Father's Day. Let's get into it. We got to deal with all the problems laid upon us in society because we don't want fathers in the home.
And actually, there's lots of people who'll be celebrating stepdads or other father figures this Sunday. And some people have actually said that Father's Day should be renamed to Father Figures Day. And a few people get in touch. Karen says it should be called Appreciation Day for men in your life. BNS says, how about Fatherly Day rather than Father's Day? You know, would that work, do you think?
It's a bit more... I like that, the sound of that, Fatherly Day. I think I'm somebody who was, because obviously I didn't have my father growing up, I kind of look, when Father's Day comes out, when Mother's Day comes out, I'm looking in the shops at cards that I want to buy. But going for my family, my family is like a step. I've got the children have a stepfather, stepdad. Well, I say stepdad because, you know, there's something that my grandmother always said, anybody can be a father, but it takes a special person to be a dad. So, you know, I kind of think that I'm in that whole step relation thing, and I think it would be nice to have a card that says something other than father, because then it makes you think, well, it might make people think you're not, but I do appreciate you in the same way, if not more. And it's just nice to be more inclusive of everybody, I think.
I don't want to be indelicate, but I mean, you know...
What a roundabout way of saying you come from a broken home, and when it's Father's Day, you want recognition too. And you want to get a mommy's card ×2. Come on, man.
You know, you've told us before that both your parents were killed in a car crash when you were very young. I mean, so as you were growing up, did you feel on those days that the loss more keenly? Yeah,
especially when you go to school and everybody's like, oh, let's make a Father's Day. Who do I make this for? And I didn't have anybody. So it's, you know, that was a bit tough, but now I more do it for the...
Look, I understand that's super tragic to have happen to you. I get it, totally. But we cannot rename the entire holiday to celebrate fathers and fatherhood because of what happened in your life specifically to make you feel better. That's not how the world works. Sorry.
Children. So, you know, the children 2 and 3 years old and they don't really know, but I'm there buying a card and it says, you know, like my father, like, you know, that sort of thing. So I quite like having something different that, like I said, includes everyone.
Yeah, I mean, well, Nadia, you and I are both very fortunate, aren't we, in that, you know, we've got our dads. Well, my dad's passed away now, but I had my dad for such a long time, and our kids have got their dads. But I guess I've never really thought about it from the perspective of people who don't have that kind of, you know, mainstream experience.
I don't think you should rename it, though.
Yeah, I don't agree on renaming this. Here's why. Because what do you do if it's Valentine's Day and you're single? Are we going to completely change the way we look at and talk about Valentine's Day just to include all the single heartbroken people that have nobody to love them on Valentine's Day so we can be more inclusive? Are we going to apply this thinking to every other holiday that's celebrating something that you are not included in, or by circumstance of your life, you can't celebrate, like not having a dad? Hers was a tragic accident, but a vast majority of households that are single parent aren't from accidents. It's 2 people that should have never had a kid in the first place. They did, and then they bolted on each other. And now this kid is growing up, you know, innocent human being in a less than ideal situation with worse outcomes across the board, no less.
I mean, because a lot of people, I mean, even if you don't have a mum or a dad, it's a day when you will make more, you probably remember them more. You know, I definitely think about my mum more on Mother's Day. Of course I do. And I just think that if you've got someone in your life that is playing your dad or is your your stepdad or a fatherly figure or someone you look up to, then that's how you see them. I don't think you really need to have or to rename everything, for God's sake. It's just Father's Day, it's Mother's Day. You know, what are you going to do? Let's ban Valentine's Day as well, because there's single people in the world and it's not very inclusive. Of course it's not. You know, everything. I mean, let's just ban every day that ends in Y. Just, you know. But it's mad though, isn't it? I don't know why we have to keep changing everything. My mum's gone. I don't feel like left out. Well, I do a little bit because, I haven't got my mum, but I think about her. It's a nice day to celebrate things. Just celebrate somebody.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I was younger, I was very much of, oh God, we've just been, controlled. It's commercial. It's this, it's that, and I've changed as I've got older. Just watching the girls over the last few days, thinking and preparing stuff for Mark and Father's Day and him, and it's hugely important to him because he didn't have a dad, and them just like getting excited and talking about being a bit more protective of him if we're having an argument, and
just spoil him as well.
Yeah, and so I think these days are very, very important actually as I get older, and I think don't change the day, but certainly I think manufacturers who are making the money think about the small child that's going up to buy a card and might want something that shows them their selves and their life. But,
Yeah.
Got another Nadia here who says at the end of the day, Mother's and Father's Day is a day to celebrate with family, regardless of how your family's set up. If you love someone, celebrate it. Who cares what the day is called?
Yeah, exactly. I thought I just said that.
Yeah, it's good that they came. I haven't seen this, but good that they came to the understanding. It is a ridiculous proposition by that first woman. We're just here to remember the fatherly and motherly figures in our lives, whether they're biological or not. And that's all it is, man. Paying homage. It's a tradition. It's the day to cherish the person that makes that difference in your life. For most of us, it is biological. Nothing wrong with that at all. And then on the, conversation of the single parent household, it does not bode well for society. That one was a little bit of a feel-good ending, but this one is not, man. Happy Father's Day, by the way, by the time this video comes out, to all the daddies out there. It says, America's crisis is a lack of fathers.
One of the things to put up on the board here, call for number 2. This is some statistics that you were alluding to. This is children under 18 living in single parent versus 2-parent households in the U.S. by race as of 2020. White, non-Hispanic, 2 parents, 75.5%. In Black families, it's 37.9%. And I wonder about you, when you bring this up, what kind of blowback or criticism do you receive? And I know that you can argue extremely well, and I find you persuasive. But are you persuasive to those audiences who don't want us to be talking about 2-parent families?
No, they'll call me an Uncle Tom, or they'll say that I'm talking bad about Black people. But when the reality hits you, at the end of the day, I don't really care what other people say or think. I know that the results that I see in schools right here in Broward County, where I have youth programs that I run every day, when I look at these children that don't have fathers in their homes, and I see these little girls sending pictures of themselves naked to each other, and I hear about kids starting to have sex at 10, 11 years old. These things are coming because there's no father in the house. When I see them using drugs at the race that they're using drugs, and as you said before in your previous segment, they are pushing these kids, these fatherless kids, through the system. Yeah. These kids can't read and write properly. Most of their reading and math proficiency levels are 3 or 4 grades below where they should be. And this is all a result of not having a strong family home structure for these children to go to. And it's just not right. And as Americans like us who have the blessings that God has given us, we have to stand for the voiceless. We have to make this loud and understand that we will be persecuted. There are some single moms that will be offended, but it's not about you. It's about the fact that you were one of the few who are able to raise your children properly. Doesn't take away for all those victims that we have across our nation. Mm-hmm. I mean, 18 million fatherless kids in our nation. We should all be embarrassed by that.
Jack, when you talk about Broward County, how much do you think about places like Baltimore as well?
Baltimore is a place where I've fortunately been able to visit and help out. But after the pandemic, it's just getting worse. I mean, these kids, their graduation rates, if they would truly put these kids through a normal testing procedures, you'd see sometimes 0%. I mean, I think they had 38 schools where the kids didn't have, 0% of the kids in the schools had reading proficiency levels at their grade level. This is a real epidemic. We need to call
Jack,
this a crisis.
Can I ask you just one last thing about that? Because Tucker Carlson brought this up on his show the other day, talking about Baltimore and talking about the kids. He was then called a racist by leaders in that community. And he continued, he's not backing down. He's going to continue to say what he thinks and use the facts that are at his disposal to speak up for those kids. What do you think about him being called a racist for pointing that out?
It's sick. Everything has to go back to race. We can't be real anymore in this country. Truth is grace and love. That's what love is. And so Tucker Carlson's bringing the truth, and we need that in this country. These cities are ran by black people. They look just like me. Most of these school districts are ran by black people that look just like me. It's time for us to call our own brothers and sisters up and encourage them, but more importantly, hold them to some accountability. I will do that as a black man. I have no problem with anybody pushing back to me, because when it comes down to these innocent kids that are born into these situations, we have to stand up for that. So I applaud Tucker for that. I applaud everyone. Speak loud and proud. This is our nation. It's not about the color of your skin anymore. We need to get the black, the white, the Hispanic. We need to get all of that stuff off of our box checkers, and we need to start becoming Americans. All of us together. One blood, one America.
And before we read the article, let me show you just how bad the statistics are. Facts about the fatherless. In the United States, 23.9 million children live absent of their biological fathers. Fatherless children represent 63% of teen self-deletes, 70% of juveniles in state institutions, 71% of high school dropouts, 75% of children in chemical abuse centers. 80% of these right here, violators. 80%, 85% of youths in prison, and 90% of homeless and runaway children. Before we get to that article, can we please have a conversation about I don't need no man, don't need my baby daddy, I can do it all on my own. Daddy government's gonna step in with money, but daddy government can't step in with all the intangibles a real biological father provides the children, as seen in the statistics. The outcomes for these children in a single parent household are abysmal at best. These kids are, for the lack of a better way to say this, screwed when it comes to life. From the get-go. They're going up against the grain, man. And we are pushing this as a society. Strong, independent queens. Don't need no man. I'll just have a baby, whatever. I'll raise them by myself. This is the outcome of your child. When two people come together and have a kid, let's not even discuss like parental rights in the courts, awarding women and shunning men. We don't have to discuss reproductive rights that women have and men lose when the time for the decision comes. We don't have to. Forget all that. When two people come together, have a kid, that baby is now the priority. You and your man, vice versa, whatever, no longer matter. Sorry. Your happiness is now second place. You brought a life into the world. It's not about you anymore. You need to amicably, deal with the situation with your significant other that you both put yourself in. And now this now spreads through the social fabric of society. This broken home turns into a broken child, statistically speaking. Not all, but a lot of them, okay, will end up or have a high percentage of being either addicted to drugs, violent in some manner, institutionalized in some way, etc., etc., etc. And the government benefits from every step of the way, because when they go into programs, those programs are government funded. So there's almost a monetary incentive here for the government to keep families broken, for the nuclear family to stay disrupted, because daddy government steps in, makes money off the back of the child support payments. They take a cut. Then welfare. You depend on the government. You need tax breaks, etc. So now you got the woman depending on the government for payments. Then she's in all sorts of programs that she has to sign up for. The government benefits from those being open. Then this child with these worse outcomes, if he ends up in prison, they're going to turn him into a prison laborer. They're going to make money from private prisons. Or he's going to need to get on medication and pills, or he's going to start abusing drugs, probably pharmaceuticals today. That's the biggest thing, opiates, etc. The government is going to make money off that. From the cradle to the grave, the government is going to mooch off this person because they'll be dependent on the institution in some manner, because instead of having a daddy to support them, to nurture them, to give them a leg up in life, they're dependent on the government, which never gives your child the kind of love a biological father could and would. Of course, broken homes are being applauded. Yes, you go strong, independent queen. It's like we're all being played, man. Yet nobody wants to look deeper than, I hate women, I hate men. It's like those at the top got the game so locked down, dude. We're blinded, all of us. We're just perpetuating the cycle that's causing more poverty, more despair, more crime, more drug addiction, more mental health issues, everything going wrong with society today. The degrading social fabric of society is all traced back to one single point: the nuclear family that's disintegrated in the West. Hello, can we look at the people pulling the strings for once instead of hating one another? Here we go. Oh man, America's crisis is a lack of fathers. As our country commemorates Father's Day this weekend, it is important that we recognize the millions of children throughout our nation who are growing up without their fathers. Data from the United States Census Bureau shows that nearly 18.5 million children grow up without their fathers. Tragedy, which has in turn led the United States to owning the title of world leader in fatherlessness. Oh my God, dude. We know that fatherhood is essential to the development of our children, and the increased involvement of fathers in the home leads to better results on a wide variety of outcomes, from economic prosperity, increased academic performance, to improved social mobility. Fathers in their respective homes continue to be a key indicator of success for all children across racial, ethnic, and socio-economic groups. That is why we have joined forces to introduce a resolution in the U.S. House of Representatives that promotes fatherhood and its proven benefit to society. There is little doubt that America is experiencing an unprecedented fatherless crisis. Approximately 80% of single-parent homes are led by single mothers, therefore leading to nearly a quarter of our youth growing up without a father in the home. This staggering statistic has not only destroyed the nuclear family, but has devastated communities across the nation. For example, 85% of children and teens with behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes, and over 70% of all adolescent patients in drug and alcohol treatment centers originate from homes without fathers. Dude, why are we pushing single parent homes? As America deals with a rise in crime, substance abuse, incarceration, decreased social mobility, and economic strains, we must acknowledge that the impact that fatherlessness has had on all these issues. We must recognize how we, as fathers, empower, teach, and develop our children plays a direct role in their well-being, mental health, and ability to preserve through adversity. This resolution allows us, as both elected officials and advocates for the nuclear family, to recognize and promote federal policies which incentivize two-parent households. I've been saying this for a while now. We need government intervention. At this point, it's become so broken. We need to reward through institution two-parent households. Going further down the article, it says, furthermore, research indicates that children without fathers at home are 9 times more likely to drop out of school and present 90% of all homeless and runaway children. We can no longer afford to ignore the debilitating impact that fatherless homes have on our youth in our country. As Americans across the country prepare to give thanks to the millions of hardworking fathers, let us not leave behind the forgotten men, women, and children who do not celebrate alongside us. The success of our nation depends on 4 central tenets: faith, family, the free market, and education. And our resolution is the first of many measures that champion the spirit of those 4 tenets. Yes, unfortunately in this country anymore, the free market has failed us. Education has been a massive failure. We've cut funding to it year over year over year. It's become a shell of its former self, and our children have fallen behind on the global competition. Faith is all but erased in this country, and family is literally on the brink if we're already at 25% of fatherless homes in totality. That is absolute insanity. You know, we as a society and people in general, humans, move very slow on issues until it's almost too late. Until someone gets hurt, somebody dies, something. This is just how the world operates. The system likes to preserve its current state, does not like change whatsoever. Now that it's becoming a problem in society at large, the social fabric has degraded to such an extent that we have mass homelessness, mass incarcerations, mass drug addictions, mass mental health issues, you name it. all can be pinpointed to fatherless homes, a vast majority of them. I mean, can you imagine the statistics? Staggering for the numbers to be 70 to 80 to 90 percentiles of outcomes. Fatherless homes. Can we stop with the strong, independent, don't need a man to raise my baby mentality? Unreal. I don't want to even get too negative on this. I just want to wish all the men in this country, all the men around the world who are celebrating Father's Day this weekend, a good Father's Day. Society, although very silent, does thank you for being there. You know, fathers are very much needed in society today. And unfortunately, some of us live in countries where, again, that's not made easy, where the other side is given all the power to dictate how, often you can be in your child's life. I know it's unfortunate. I know there's tons of men out there, fathers, hurting, wishing they could see their children. I really do feel for you. I have friends that are in this predicament. It is soul crushing to see your legacy be taken away from you because someone's scorned in a divorce. That's super unfortunate. We do not think about the children first. I know, and I've heard all your stories about your own children being weaponized against you. I know. Believe me, I read all the emails. I feel very sorry for you guys. I really do. Anyways, sorry to get so negative, guys. I will be calling up my father, wishing him a happy Father's Day. I know half the time Father's Day is kind of a joke holiday. You just get a simple postcard and a hug. That's it. Nothing really special happens, but to those of you that are fortunate enough to have a day to themselves and your family around you and experience that love, watching your legacy before your very eyes, all the hard work you put in, and just enjoying it. We are all aspiring to have that dream as well, and may we be blessed to experience it one day. So, from me to all the daddies out there, happy Father's Day. See you guys next time.